Hey everyone, I'm today with Annicken, and she introduced herself as a cultural hacker, and I'm very curious to find out what is a cultural hacker. So Annicken, tell me, what is a cultural hacker and how do you hack a culture?
Well, let me first start with saying why culture is so important, because I am extremely passionate about the power of culture, because how you feel when you come to work in the morning, how you work together with other people, how the environment you work with, how that is, that totally decides and determines the quality of your work, the way you feel about your life, the way you feel about your work, and also the way you perform. Anyway, so that's why I'm very passionate about the power of culture. Now, of course, ideally, culture is shaped from above. You have leaders who go and they decide what kind of culture they want to shape, and they live those values, they live that culture, and that's how the culture ends up becoming. But very often that just doesn't happen. So you have people showing up at work, not necessarily super excited or engaged about their work. But then my approach is like, you can yourself be part of shaping that culture, and that you can become a culture hacker. So I have been a culture hacker myself. I have trained other people to be culture hackers. And basically what you need to do to hack a culture is first you have to find the cracks in the system. You have to find what doesn't work and shed some light on it and see how can we change this little thing. Because it's hard to change an entire culture, but you can change those little things. It just doesn't work as good as they could. So it could be like a different kind of mindset, a different kind of behavior. And basically you yourself have to go first. You have to do it and then inspire others to do it as well. Because the collective force of people working together towards a common goal and believing in the same thing and agreeing like, okay, let's agree to do it this way, then actually the culture will transform as a consequence of that. So that's basically culture hacking to me. And that's why I'm so passionate about that.
You said something about to change it from bottom up rather than up down, and we see in the world that a lot of countries have bad leadership. And I think you work in companies, but it's the same thing. In my opinion, as Margaret Thatcher said, if you can run a house, you can run a house. You can become a mayor. If you can become a mayor, you can become a MP. If you can become an MP, you can become a prime minister. It's the same. Basic principles are the same. So imagine, let's talk, would you like to talk in the country context or a company context? Which is more comfortable to you?
Yeah, mostly a company context actually, because I like to look at companies as little countries.
Correct, which they are.
And I've been working in global companies and been leading global companies and seeing that if you have everyone feel they are part of a mutual country, you kind of take away the local culture differences, because you all come together to do these amazing things together and you share a certain set of values. And if you are from Middle East, or if you're from Japan or US or Norway, you can still meet around that purpose and around those values. So I'm very passionate about the company culture and also how that brings diversity together in order to achieve greatness together as a group.
So what's your bottom-up approach? You said that you can bring change from the bottom rather than from the top.
Yeah, so the bottom-up approach is basically you still have to agree on what that change should look like. Because if you have a lot of individuals and everyone working around and wanting to change a bit there and there, you don't get the effect of the collective. So you basically have to bring people together, get together. And usually it can be a leader, or it can just be a passionate person, maybe it's further down in the system, that says, hey, this just isn't working. And you might work in a company with 100,000 people, and you don't think, or you probably can't go and just change 100,000 people, but you can make a difference in the group that you work. Whether you are 10 people or 100 or 500, it's much easier to do that. I usually say like up to 150 people, you can get a tribe. So we talk about like creating a tribal culture when people really feel a sense of belonging together and just make an agreement that this is us, this is where we're heading, this is how we're going to work together. And then you hack the kind of culture that you want to have.
So imagine a small town in Norway which wants to change something. Do you think bottom-up approach can work? Because now we are all so powerfully connected because of social media and the internet, and the knowledge and information is available to everyone. So do you think that can work in a village or a city or a problem around anything else?
I actually do. I think that capacity of a passionate individual it's amazing. When people everything has to start with one person, and with that person stand up and for something they believe in and engages others in it. I really believe that bottoms up approach sometimes can be maybe the most powerful and effective way we actually can change things, because it comes from a place of purpose and passion, and not thinking about rules and regulations and why this shouldn't work or how they could work. You just go there and you just do it, and that's how I see the most amazing things in the world actually has happened. And I encourage and always hope that people will stand up for their convictions and what they believe in, and have the guts and the courage to go out and create that.
Now for the billion-dollar question. How do you find your passion?
I usually say that it's almost like you cannot almost find a passion. You have it in you. You just have to unleash it, because I think we all have something. It's what makes that fire in the belly get lighter, makes your eyes shine, and it can be anything. But I think that everyone has a passion, and the key is to just look for it and find it, because it is within. It doesn't exist out there somewhere, and no one can tell you what your passion is. It's there, and when you find it, you know you have it, and then just go for it.
Okay, follow-up question. How do you find the courage to unleash your passion?
That's a very good question, and I think that is the reason why most people don't follow their passions, is they don't have the courage. But then again, courage is something you can choose to unleash as well, but you have to, of course, be willing to take some risks. But sometimes I say the biggest risk is actually not taking any risks at all, because if you walk around and being unhappy because you don't follow what your heart tells you, or you don't follow your passion, you will end up not being a happy person, and that is much worse than taking some risks and maybe make some mistakes, but you'll learn from them and move on, and then you'll eventually get there. So to find the courage within, I think it's where it has to start, and just go for it.
You have worked with a lot of people. Do you think people can actually be happy if they don't live by their passion?
I think you can be happy, you can be content. A lot of people are content, which for some people is okay. Me personally, I always had to follow my passion. If not, I get deeply unhappy. So I'm not saying to everyone just throw away everything, sell your house, move country, even though I myself have done both those things. But I still think to find those little things that makes you happy. Maybe start there and be able to spend some time on something that makes the blood run through your veins, boil through your, run through your veins, boil in your, not boil in your heart. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, it makes your eyes shine.
Excited.
Gets you excited, because we have so many amazing things we can do in this life, and it is up to us to do them or not, basically.
Okay, what's your passion?
My passion is helping others find their passion, I think. I mean, the biggest thing for me is when I see a light go on in people's eyes that wasn't there before. When I'm with someone and I just talk to them and help them kind of find that inner fire, that is what makes my eyes shine, to see that go on in other people's eyes.
Do you have a process for this? Tips? Any 3 tips for finding a passion?
Yeah, I think it is about, well, for me it's about talking, but also making people maybe look at life a bit differently, looking at themselves a bit differently, looking at opportunities differently, because we're brought up in a certain way. I'm brought up in Norway, and we're not supposed to think big. We're not supposed to be different. But I think the moment people dare to think a bit bigger and think a bit different and not be afraid to stand out, that is also when they start thinking opportunities and think, I don't need to do, just because you do it this way, I don't need to do it that way. I can do it my way. So I think it's a lot of mindsets and the way we think, but also we need to talk together, and we need to also take time to think, because I think everyone's rushing around and you never think about what feels good, what doesn't feel good. But take time out to think and really find that inner drive, that inner passion, and find that courage, and then just go out and make it happen.
Okay. Any actionable 3 tips which you would want to give to students or anybody else who wants to find this passion? Small action items.
I think it starts with a bit with values. What you really believe in, what's important to you in life. Because we all are different in that way, but there are certain things that are more important to us than others. So for me, one of the values that is very strong in me is freedom, and I'm willing to sacrifice things for my freedom. That's important for me. Other people have comfort or certainty, or they want safety. They will take very different choices than I do because I want freedom and they want safety. I don't have safety, well, not as much because I chose freedom, but that's important. So we're all different. And then when you kind of connect with those values, what's most important to you, I also think find your purpose. You know, why are you on this planet? What do you want to achieve? What are you trying to do? When you're 88 years old and you're sitting on your wheelchair or whatever you sit in, what kind of life would you have lived? What kind of life will make you happy to think back at? And I think if you know what you believe in and you know where you're heading, and then, okay, what are you willing maybe to sacrifice to get there? I think that's important too, because you can't just say everything. You know, we make choices, and if we want to live a life of our dreams, we also have to choose something away, I think. So I think just starting to think about who you are, where you want to go, and then how you're going to get there, and maybe what you will sacrifice in order to do that.
Number 3.
Well, that was 3.
Okay, I can see you are totally passionate about it. You're glowing. You've become a big
This is my
tomato.
butterfly. This is my freedom. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you.
I hope that the people who are going to send you a friend request will inbox you and introduce themselves. And don't rush with her because she's a pretty busy person. So definitely give her time. And if anybody out there is listening who wants to interview her, I think it'll be great to set up an appointment and interview her. And by introducing her to your network, you can maybe find your passion and their passion and help each other becoming the butterfly, or whatever that butterfly means to you. And exactly. So thank you everyone, and do make sure to share this, and thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.